Joining our World Indicators, we're on the pro side. Today we are going to discuss the benefits of implementing competition of basic income in Taiwan. UBI is a government policy that provides every citizen with a guaranteed income regardless of their employment status. This policy has been gaining attention around the world as a way to address many of the economic and social problems that exist in modern societies. In order to keep up with the pace of society, we strongly agree that Taiwan should enact unconditional basic income. Contention 1. UBI can reduce poverty. On the other hand, UBI can promote the economy. First, according to a recent report by the Taiwan Institute of Economy Research, poverty rates in Taiwan have been steadily increasing in recent years. This can strongly prove that more and more people are facing poverty problems. International Labour Organization also mentioned that. To this, UBI can provide a much-needed safety net for the most disadvantaged members of society who don't have a good quality of life and are always worried about their families, their health, and their lives due to poverty stricken. UBI can help them to get rid of the difficulties caused by poverty. As such, UBI can help to promote the economy. According to the research by the Institute for Policy Studies, UBI programs can boost consumer spending. The study found that when UBI programs provide $1,000 a month to every U.S. adult, it could boost consumer spending by as much as $2.5 trillion over 8 years. When people have more money to spend, they are more likely to buy goods and services, which in turn creates jobs and boosts economic growth. This is especially important to Taiwan. There's some good feedbacks from other countries which already implement UBI. For example, the US and India are doing a study conducted by Brazilian Basic Income Earth Network. It examined the impact of the UBI programs on the poverty rate in a small Brazilian town and found that the poverty rate dropped by 30% after the program was implemented. Contention 2. UBI can give the people who are on employment a guarantee and can reduce the working hours in Taiwan. According to a thesis from the Institute of Policy Science, National Taiwan University 2020, it mentioned that in today's society, as the development of technology is more advanced, the automation of many industries means that we can produce more and more goods and services with less human resource. Taiwan has a well-developed technology. Our number of robots is at the 6th place in the world. Many Taiwanese people facing the problems of unemployment and underpaid. And the study also mentioned underpaid can cause overwork. According to research by McKinsey Global Institute, the technology-based industry could displace as many as 800 million workers worldwide by 2030. To this, UBI can give these people a chance to participate in relevant training and find their next jobs without worrying about their lives. Another serious problem in Taiwan is the high working hours. According to the International Labour Statistics report recently released by the Ministry of Labour, Taiwan's average annual total working hours in 2020 reached 2,021 hours. We are in the 4th place in the highest working hours country in the world. What's more, high working hours can lead to overwork and even death. According to statistics released by Taiwan's Ministry of Life and Welfare, from 2002 to 2021, there were a total of 2,092 death cases of overwork. UBI gives everyone an income, so that people do not need to work overtime for a salary. Therefore, they can spend more time taking care of their families. Technology has evolved even further. Okay.
Is everyone ready? Okay, speech starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
We offer the following framework. A just government must evaluate the consequences of its policy to ensure a sustainable economy and job opportunities for as much people as possible. Our contention 1 is inflation. Subpoint A, giving cash to everyone leads to massive inflation and recession. Iran's UBI program proves that. That's Guardian 15. Iran can no longer sustain the billions of dollars needed to pay cash handouts enacted by former President Ahmad if all Iranians receive the money regardless of their income. Inflation falling from more than 40% to under 15%. 500,000 people have lost their jobs. This is the result of raiding development funds in order to pay cash allowances. Subpoint B, UBI causes price inflation, which hurts the economy. That's Covington 14. Give every single person a few extra $1,000s a year, and all of a sudden, you've got a greater demand for all kinds of things. More people wanting it means the price goes up. It could wipe out its value entirely, and basic income would then just be a necessity that added nothing positive to people's life. Subpoint C, inflation destroys economic growth and impedes investment. An unstable dollar undermines productive asset usage and thus eliminates job opportunities. That's Woodhill 14. The economy does best with a stable dollar. An unstable dollar interferes with our economy's ability to create and utilize assets to produce our GDP and employ people. There would be no jobs and GDP would be zero. Reduces capital investment. Subpoint D, balance is key. That's Harrington and Shea 20. It reduces market risk and attracts foreign direct investments, relies much reducing risk to attract foreign investments. It is not included in any international and regional safety net, let alone the fight. Deter the occurrence of capital flight. Taiwan has to increase tax revenue or cancel some existing means test benefits. This contention 2 is welfare. Subpoint A, UBI's incredible cost will crowd out other social programs. That's Dodge 16. A UBI will be incredibly expensive. A 10,000 annual basic income will cost more than $3 trillion per year, consuming all tax revenue. This would crowd out social programs. A basic income will leave low-income families worse off because federal dollars that are currently targeted towards the poor will be transferred to a universal program shared by the middle class and wealthy. Subpoint B, the poor and seniors will lose tens of thousands worth of relief if welfare is replaced with UBI. Matthew 17. Funding a large-scale universal basic income would necessarily require using funding from welfare and unemployment insurance in kind subsidies such as medicine and Social Security and Medicare. Everyone over the age of 65 would lose out. The poor seniors would lose more than $34,000 worth of benefits, and low and middle income people would lose $18,000 to $28,000 each. Subpoint C. Current welfare encourages work. UBI empirically significantly reduces work, which keeps recipients in poverty, while taking money from the needy and giving it to able-bodied adults. That's Reactor 18. For each 1,000 in added benefits, there was an average 660 reduction in earnings, meaning that 3,000 in government benefits was required for a net increase of 1,000 in family income. And for all these reasons, please vote on. Thank you. And I'm open for questions.
Sorry, we need 1 minute's preparation.
I'll start process first. Yeah, I know. I said I'll start the timer.
As we just said, technology has more nature in Taiwan. We can produce more goods and services with less human resource. How can you ensure that the UBI sale cost inflation?
Okay, look, we gave a very clear analysis to why it causes inflation. We tell you that inflation itself is because like people right now with this additional money, you're going to like have to buy all these things. These companies, they won't have any like they don't know that these like once they know that these people are going to buy their products, they're going to increase the price so much that there's going to be inflation. Because with higher demand, you're going to have a higher cost because the supply is exactly the same. You don't do anything about the supply, which is exactly why it will cause inflation. Okay, so Next on my question. So, okay, so how is UBI like feasible? Like, what's your plan in implementing UBI? Like, where do you get the cost of UBI?
We will first get the tax by richer people, and so the rich will pay more money to government. It's like tax.
Okay, so you're gonna tax the rich only,
No,
and then you're
not
gonna.
only rich and poor. They both need to tax some money to government, but the rich will tax more because in Taiwan we have a plan called 所得税, and the richer will pay more money to government, and then they should enact UBI.
Okay, I'd just like to clarify. So you're going to like tax them
Sorry,
up to.
this is my question time. And how can you solve the problems of welfare system in Taiwan?
How am I going to solve all of that? Okay, we're going to extend on why the welfare system is already like credible, and plus we already tell you that these welfare systems already reduce poverty to like 1% in Taiwan. So probably this doesn't really matter as much.
As the welfare system now in Taiwan,
Okay, yeah,
will only take some money from the will only give some money for the poor people in Taiwan. But
yeah,
how about the rich?
I'm very sorry, but I thought okay, so
How
your
about the
entire
rich
case.
people? Can we steal the rich people's rights? We can't steal the rich people's rights.
Okay, so this is very controversial, like very it's very weird that you're saying that you're going to take money from the rich and like most of your funds is going to come from the rich, and now you're telling me that there's going to be like these rich you want to like help the poor by taking the
No,
richest
I think
tax, and you're now you're saying
that is not I'm saying before. I just said that in Taiwan the richer will pay more to the government. We
Okay,
didn't say
yeah.
that all the money at UBI will pay by the rich. We didn't say that.
okay, sure, okay, yeah. That's my question. I'm gonna ask, how does like your evidence from outside of Taiwan actually relate to this debate? Since this is like we're implementing in Taiwan, so how is it actually feasible to do the plan?
We have some good feedback from US and India because Taiwan haven't employed UBIs yet. We have 1 minute break. Yes.
Sorry, are you talking?
1 minute. Is up. Okay, so first, according to your constructive speech, you mentioned that you mentioned that UBI can increase labor cost, but the money is just like this. It's not gonna be more, and it's not gonna be more. And you say that UBI is wasteful, but as we just said, UBI has many advantages. The government must pay the cost to support a good policy. In addition to our constructive speech, we have the following evidence to persuade you that we take advantage of this topic. That the UBI can help the support and arts and culture industry, as well as address and challenges posed by an aging population. Taiwan has a rich cultural heritage with a art scene that includes music, theater, and film. However, many artists and cultural workers struggle to make a living due to the low wage and employment that are common in this industry. UBI can provide a basic income to support artists and cultural workers. allowing them to persuade their patients and contribute to the cultural life of Taiwan. According to a research by Basic Income Earth Network, UBI programs can help support the art and cultural industry. The research shows that by providing a basic income for artists and cultural workers, UBI can help foster creativity and cultural diversity. According to a research by Actors Direction International, UBI program can help support the performing art industry. The study suggests that by providing actors and performers with a basic income, UBI could help address challenges posed by irregular work schedule and low wages. And UBI can help stimulate the economy by increasing consumer spending. When people have more money to spend, they are more likely to buy goods and services, which in turn create jobs and booster economic growth. This is especially important in Taiwan, where the economy is heavily reliant on export. By putting more money into the hands of customers, UBI can help the democracy damage and reduce Taiwan's dependence on foreign markets. Furthermore, UBI can social mobility and reduce income inequality by giving everyone a chance to succeed, regardless of their background or family wealth. According to research by Institute of Policy Studies, UBI programs can boost customer spending, which creates jobs with boost economic growth. A UBI program that provides 1,000 US per month adult could boost customer spending by as much as 2.5 trillion over 8 years. The study found UBI is a policy that has a potential to address many of the economy and social problems in Taiwan by reducing poverty, similarity, and stimulating the economy, promoting social mobility, supporting the arts, and addressing the challenges of an income pollution. UBI can create a more just and equitable society for all. Therefore, I urge the government of Taiwan to seriously consider implementing UBI as a key policy in the 90s. Thank you.
Okay, firstly, I would like to start by pointing out a massive flaw that the opposing side has overlooked. So they say that providing just $1,000 US per month will cause like these massive benefits, right? But with simple calculation, you can find that $1,000 is 30,000 NTD times 12 months a year and times the population of Taiwan, which is 20 million, results in a staggering bill of 7.2 trillion new Taiwan dollars, which is like ridiculous because as we have said in our previous speech, the current fiscal expenditure of Taiwan in 2022 is just 2.2 trillion. So how are you going to literally multiply your fiscal expenditure by like 3.5 times? Their solution is tax the rich, but why would the rich want to be taxed, and why do they deserve to be taxed anyway? And another bit is they also have not explained how their examples of US and India and a small town in Brazil have any relation to Taiwan, right? So these are all very different cases, right? So now I'll move on to an extension of our argument on inflation. First of all, we would like to establish two things. One, the only reason why other countries are willing to invest in new Taiwan dollars is because they trust that they will get the value that new Taiwan dollar promises. So the moment that our currency slows down, countries will refuse to use it and immediately devalue our currency. Two, Taiwan is a unique case because our currency is very vulnerable. First of all, we already lack recognition as a country. But on top of that, we are at a high risk of a Chinese invasion. This means that other countries won't be able to trust our currency, can maintain long-term sustainability. This decreasing the trust and investment in our currency. This means that the example of India and the USA literally don't apply because their currency is stable. So the result, Taiwan has to be a conservative government that can't afford to enact radical fiscal policies like UBI. When other countries see that we're in massive inflation, the new Taiwan dollar will be completely worthless. People won't be able to use it in the global market, and the entire economy will collapse. Okay, so secondly, on like why the increase in tax revenue is like completely not feasible. Well, Taiwan will have to spend under what the opposition side said, like 7 trillion on UBI. Completely not feasible because current fiscal expenditure is 2.2 trillion. Taiwan already has lower taxes than other countries, and raising income corporate tax drives up the cost for businesses, creating a push factor for domestic investment to go offshore and/or deterring foreign direct investments. Using 2000 and oh yeah, okay. Now on to the poverty. According to the nation's encyclopedia, poverty in Taiwan has almost been eradicated, with less than 1% of the population considered as poor or belonging to the low income market. So the issue of poverty is not that great, and is already being mitigated. Second, welfare solves better because it specifically addresses the needs of individuals that are in need of help. For example, Medicare provides help for people who has complicated health issues, where UBI would not be anywhere enough to pay for those complicated procedures. Moreover, other programs address things like disabilities or training for young parents to make sure they can get out of the cycle of poverty, where UBI just throws money at the issue. Okay, and then thirdly on automation. Well, so first of all, I would like to point out a contradiction. So the opposing team says that job opportunities are already more rare because under automation, and that it's increasingly difficult to find a job. So how does your side actually incentivize people to work when you give money to them for when they don't even have a job, right? So yeah, so they actually slow down the economy. Okay, right. So automation and AI are already creating more jobs than it will destroy. Just like any other industrial technological change we have seen in the past. Experts have predicted massive job loss every decade for centuries now, and every single time they've been proving wrong. AI is no different. Okay, now on to health. Well, Sawhill 16. It says that many of the poor and jobless are lacking more than just cash. They may be addicted to drugs or alcohol, suffer from mental health issues, have criminal records, or have difficulty functioning in a complex society. Money by itself does not cure such ills. Money by itself it doesn't solve these problems. Okay, lastly, economic growth. Economic growth just isn't true because UBI has to be funded by much higher taxes. So at the very least, you're just shifting resources from one side of the economy to the other. So that doesn't actually make the economy grow. It makes the economy much worse off because the marginal tax rate will rise to 50 cents for every dollar, which means that people will be much less incentivized to work since they will have to have their money, which means that people won't work and that will cause the economy to go down. What? Okay.
Can you explain how UBI can replace the certain workforce system? Can you explain how UBI can replace a certain workforce system?
Cannot.
Can you?
Oh, they cannot. Okay, thank you. Okay, my question. You guys said that employment opportunities are hard to find, because of automation. So how do you incentivize people to work when they already get paid for doing nothing under your system?
Sorry.
So under your system, people get paid for doing nothing. So how do you make them work when you said that jobs are increasingly harder to find?
Because they have basic income, so they can more focus on what they want, the work they want to find, and they won't just find the work they don't want to do, then it's not better. How can you solve the problem for what basic can you say that UBI will cause inflation?
Oh well, firstly, because we have mentioned the example of Iran, they saw massive inflation after this, and also because if you simply throw money into the market, inflation is a natural phenomenon in economics that happens when you have increased supply and increased demand because you have no money, right? And supply doesn't change. So if a lot of people want to buy your stuff and the company you still have the same amount of stuff, you'll make the stuff more expensive. So this actually does not actually do anything because stuff will be more expensive and this hurts the economy a lot. Okay. Yeah, okay, so how do you prevent inflation? Yeah. how do you prevent inflation?
The inflation will shoot. Okay, I think I can answer you next speech.
Oh, well, another question. How do you fund your UBI program?
Sorry.
How do you pay for this UBI?
Oh. In our first argument, we mentioned that UBI can reduce poverty and can promote the economy. And our opponents were missing the point as we just said. Because Taiwan hasn't implemented UBI, and today we are debating whether Taiwan should enact UBI in the future. To this, we gave some good feedbacks and evidence from other countries which already implement UBI, such as US and India, and also Finland. It can be useful to explain how UBI works. And the second thing I want to say is that our opponent mentioned that our welfare system is enough in Taiwan. Although the unconditional basic income seems to equal on the surface, it can still help the vulnerable groups or families. The basic income is that every citizen receives the same amount, but this amount is different from every original income or poverty. The proportions are different. For the rich who are worth tens of billions of dollars, or the poor who cannot eat 3 meals a day, the proportions must be different. Because the poor can receive a higher proportion on basic income, and that's their original income or poverty. The proportions of weight is lower, and also whether a person who is rich or poor, they are both Taiwanese people. They should have their rights. We can't steal someone's rights just because they are rich. And our opponents mentioned that our welfare system is good enough. Why do we need UBI? We also replied this question. The biggest difference of UBI is the indiscriminate payment of money. The purpose of doing UBI is to solve the problems of welfare system not doing well enough, such as administrative cost and resource misuse of the welfare system. Our opponents also mentioned that UBI is too expensive in their speech. However, the government must pay the cost to support a good policy. We don't need to worry about wasting problem because UBI isn't a wasteful policy. This cost is worth it. Besides this, the welfare system in Taiwan costs more than UBI. And our opponent didn't release that reducing the poverty in Taiwan is a more important consideration right now, like we just mentioned. The poverty problems are more pressing, and the unemployment problem is pressing too. Technology has evolved even further in its more nature in Taiwan. We can't ensure whether our future careers will be replaced by technology. In our second argument, we mentioned that UBI can solve the problem of the too long working hours in Taiwan. We are talking about long-term and important issues. As we all know, overwork costs can lead to death. Life is the most important thing to you and me. Without life, we cannot be who we are. Are we going to let this problem go on while many sources tell us that overwork causes people to die? Of course not. Thank you, judges.
We'd like to take 1 minute. Press this. Okay. Speech starts in 3, 2, 1. 3 things in my speech. First on rebuttal, second on impact calculus, and third weighing if I have time. Before I move on, I'd like to take down their arguments and tell you why I judge their arguments don't stand. Since this is a policy debate, the most important thing you have to vote on is the feasibility of UBI implementation in Taiwan. We understand they have examples from other countries, but they have to draw a connection back to Taiwan because US and India have very different economies than Taiwan. Only we give you Taiwan-specific examples. As our Harrington and Shea Tony Hart says, Taiwan has a competitive edge over other countries because of the low taxes. Suddenly, the government wants to massively increase taxes to get $7 trillion. We risk companies going offshore because Taiwan will have lost its advantage. Second, this causes financial imbalance, which is bad because Taiwan is vulnerable to economy instability. Because 1, we don't have a safety net to fall on, and 2, we buy foreign currencies as reserves. If our dollar is unstable, other countries wouldn't trust in Taiwan. Third, we tell you that investment in economy that they talk about, people getting economic mobility, doesn't make any sense because people will be investing in themselves, buying household goods, creating small businesses, which won't have a large effect overall and won't be able to compensate for over $3 trillion. We have already told you that under 1% of people in Taiwan are under the poverty line. So how do they actually impact Taiwan as a whole? So comparatively, we think that we have much a bigger magnitude. So answering to the poverty and unemployment argument, targeted welfare provides an enormous amount of resources and money because it is targeted, which means that millions of people will be worse in poverty because they lose out on a lot of money in a system where it takes the scarce resources and divides it to everyone, including the rich. We tell you that the rich don't need these resources by UBI because they are self-sustaining. They don't need all these money, right? We collapse on the inflation argument. Now go on to impact calculus, probability. Judge, if you see even a tiny bit of probability of inflation, you vote for con, because Taiwan cannot risk even a little bit of economic instability. This is my Harrington 20 card, which says that Taiwan does not have the safety net to fall back on. We are in a country that relies on foreign currency to survive. Currency is trust. If inflation happens, Taiwan wouldn't be able to sustain. 2 warrants for inflation. First, higher demand leads to higher prices because the business knows that they can get customers. Because everyone has more money, they're going to raise the price no matter what. Second, inflation is real. They say UBI will give money to the poor to spend. Right now, suddenly the demand for a fixed supply is higher than it previously was. Because more money can be spent in the market, this increases inflation. In fact, we turn your argument because inflation increases prices, which hurts the poor even more. Now on to magnitude. We outweigh them for a few reasons. First, as our second speaker has already told you, according to the Nation's Encyclopedia, poverty in Taiwan has almost been eradicated, with less than 1% of the population considered as poor or belonging to the low-income bracket. Now, we aren't saying that 1% is not important. We're merely stating that we outweigh because we affect more people. Inflation is a national impact. Look, if you have inflation, you're going to affect every person in Taiwan and possibly the global market. Compared to 1% of Taiwan, this is a way bigger impact. Therefore, we're proudly in the game. Thank you. Are you ready for cross?
Okay, my first question is that you said that the rich do not need the money by the UBI, right?
Yes.
But why they don't need?
Okay, they're literally rich. They can self-sustain. They can be able to
Do you have
live.
evidence to show us that the rich do not need the money of UBI?
So you're asking me evidence to show that rich people aren't rich enough and don't have money?
Yes.
I think it's pretty common sense that the rich people have money.
It's the rich people have something like they want to do for the poor.
Okay.
And also for their families or what? Do you mean that the rich people don't need the UBI, so we can't enact UBI in Taiwan?
two independent warnings for why that's not true. First, we tell you that rich people are already really rich. They can self-sustain. They don't have any crisis that they need to solve for. Wait, let me finish. Please let me finish.
Okay.
First, we tell you that they don't have any financial crisis that they need to solve for immediately. The poor, they lack healthcare. They lack a lot of financial stuff. They can't sustain themselves. That's why we're catering for the poor. Second of all, we're arguing about how we're not standing for the rich. It's entirely false. Because look, when you tax the rich, you tax more for the rich, right? Because these rich people, they have high income, which means that you're decreasing their income by a lot when you tax them more. So in fact, you're actually harming the rich even more. So we entirely turn your argument about how the rich are very important, right? Okay, so sorry, it's my question right now. So I think you haven't answered our feasibility argument. We don't know how you're gonna generate $7 trillion out of nowhere. Can you explain how you're gonna do that?
What do you mean? We're gonna earn 7?
Yeah, because in order for you to enact UBI and actually fund UBI, you have to have $7 trillion in fact. Because I think my second speaker already told you how it already told you the math about how you need $7 trillion to enact UBI. So how are you going to get this money out of nowhere?
We will get this money by tax. We already answered. And this is in Taiwan. In other countries like Finland, are the evidence in Finland you are talking $3.7 trillion? Which
no.
evidence Which evidence can prove me to believe you that the UBI needs $3.7 trillion?
Okay, my partner did math on specific Taiwanese because he multiplied the amount of people in Taiwan with the currency you're going to give them. That's 7 point something million
And how
trillion
is
dollars.
this study conducted?
It's simple math. You multiply the currency you're going to give to every single person to and with the
$3.7 trillion.
you could 7.3.
7.3.
Yeah, we tell you that you need $7.3 trillion to fund UBI, and you haven't given us any warning how you're going to generate this.
Okay, and this is my question time. Do you mean that you are helping the poor people in Taiwan, right? You are helping the poor, right?
We're saying that we're not making the poor worse than they already are right now, because what your side is doing is you're going to give them into further poverty.
Yes,
trap.
but now.
No, let me finish. I'll answer your question. So
No, you didn't let me answer my question. I didn't finish my. Okay. Strongly support that Taiwan should implement UBI based on economy, culture saving, population concentration, international trends, and more. These are enough reasons to support implementing UBI in Taiwan. According to their argument, implementing UBI will cause inflation, but accelerative inflation can lead to economic growth. Rising inflation means good economic growth, a hot job market. In order to avoid overheating, the central bank will adopt a tightening monetary policy to regulate. So this situation will not happen so easily. And the welfare system in Taiwan has a lot of problems because the welfare system only gives money to some specific groups who are low-income households subsidies. While each country has its unique context, the basic principle behind UBI remains the same. Other countries implement UBI have some good feedback, and Taiwan should refer to other countries. Result of implementing UBI, we must pay some price. If we want a good policy and economy growing, and these prices are worth it. In conclusion, UBI is a policy that has the potential and address many of the economic and social problems in Taiwan by reducing poverty and the overwork problems. Furthermore, UBI can stimulate the economy and create a happier society for everyone. Therefore, we strongly support that the government of Taiwan should invest conditional vaccine income. Thank you.
Okay, first I would like to start with some rebuttals. Our inflation argument turns poverty because the poor won't be better off when prices are way higher than they were before. We have already analyzed to you why inflation will happen in our various speeches, so I won't repeat. Feasibility is the most important aspect of this debate because even if they prove that UBI is good, Taiwan won't be able to implement it anyway because it's cost too much. They have not yet proven how taxing the rich can lead to pay for a total of more than 7 trillion new Taiwan dollars, which we have already told you how we came to that amount, or even why the rich should be responsible to pay more. Taiwan would need this money to enact UBI, but currently there's only 2 trillion in our annual fiscal expenditure. This is our answer against taxes. Yeah. So this causes fiscal imbalance, which is bad because Taiwan is vulnerable to economic instability. Because one, we don't have a safety net to fall back on, and two, we buy foreign currencies as reserves. If our dollar is unstable, other countries wouldn't trust Taiwan. Furthermore, people would likely spend their money on household goods and create small-scale businesses. This won't affect the economy on a scale large enough to compensate for like $7 trillion. Okay, now onto the impact on populism. 1. Probability. Judge, like my partner's last speech said, if you see a tiny bit of risk of inflation on our side, you should vote con. Taiwan cannot risk even a little bit of economic instability because Taiwan is a unique example. This is my Harrington 20 card, which says that Taiwan does not have a safety net to fall back on. If inflation happens, Taiwan's economy would be in shambles and no one would trust our currency. Yeah. And second, magnitude. All the pro side talks about is the safety net, and then when we tell you that enacting UBI is just too expensive, we tell you that this prevents foreign investment, crowds out other social services like education and healthcare. Both of these are very important to pro side's case, and it deletes both from the system. So they will not have the education element like there to fund whatever they're talking about. Yeah. And the moment people get more money in their hands, they're going to spend it and invest in it. Demand in the economy will instantly surge up, and massive inflation in Taiwan is going to happen because more money will circulate. And yeah.
I would like to first congratulate for both sides for completing a very fascinating debate. And since it's a policy debate, I would separate my comments into different parts. The first part is about the necessity. Why do we need UBI? Both sides propose that we should give poor people some supports for their daily life, for their basic needs. And however, concept tell me that it may cause two problems. The first one is that it may cause inflation in Taiwan, and second is that you think it is not feasible. You do not have a very strong funding system to support the policy, right? And so start from the speaker one first side. I was like I said, I really like your statements and how you deliver your speech. Is you may understand you very well. However, I don't think your side coordinates with it. I mean that your statements, your speech is not connect with your teammates, speaker team. So I think it's a little bit. I think you may have. I know you must spend a lot of time preparing for the debate, and I can tell from how you perform on the stage. But I think maybe aside from self-speaking, you can think about how to coordinate with your partner. Since you are one team, you should stand on one side. Your viewpoints and how you elaborate your viewpoints should coordinate with each other. And for the side, I can tell that your English is wonderful. You got very good English speaking skills, but it's a little bit too fast, both of you. It's a little bit too fast. As a debater, I think I speak faster than ordinary people, but even for me, it's a little bit hard for me to follow up your speed. So you got. I can tell that you also prepare for this debate. You must do a lot of research, and you gave us a lot of solid figures and examples. I think it's very good, and it helps us judges to understand your viewpoints. So if you can slow down a little bit, it's much better for us to follow up your speed. So and it will make the audience feel better and more comfortable. But overall, I think YouTube did a very good job. You have very solid opinions. You have good examples to support your viewpoints, to support your contentions, which is very good for us to really understand what you want to express. So my final decision, I give my vote to the comment side. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so I will agree that your team spoke too quickly. So a lot of the points I wasn't able to really understand completely because you spoke so quickly. I will also add that I found that with some points, I think some teams, like for example, your team, didn't take enough opportunity to attack some of their weaker points. Like for example, I found that the point that was made about why would the rich want to be taxed could have been attacked, because to me that was a very weak argument in terms of why would the rich be taxed. You could have taken a more logical stance and say, okay, they could benefit from the poor people consuming, because normally the owners of shops and stores are normally the rich people, so the money will still end up going back into their pocket regardless of it being taken out from taxes. So that could have been used as a good point. But either way, it was kind of really difficult to decide the winners. I actually am not even done, because I find that your team has really good points, but the execution of it could have been more solid. They were more like coming back to back with it, but I thought
you guys tumble just a little bit. And so it makes it difficult to grade. Okay, that's my point.
Okay, as for me, the pro side has brought out some harms in the status quo, like the poverty rate or the high working hours, or the status quo is that maybe some laborers will be replaced by some robots due to the automation. So these are the harms that I get from the pro side. But I would like to suggest the pro side that I consider that there are harms in this case. However, you didn't mention about the significance of the harms. So therefore, the counting will say that maybe we have some welfare system, and maybe the welfare system is good enough for the status quo. So I think if you brought out some more significance to the harm, then maybe your arguments will be more solid. And I have the same opinion with the two judges that you have a really good language delivery, but because debate is about persuading others, and then the judge is not about your point. So maybe when you're bringing about your strongest opinions, maybe you can slow it a little bit down for the communication, for better communication. Yeah. And I know that the accounting has brought up the inflation point, and actually inflation is the strongest point for the accounting. So actually I would encourage the pro side to attack more on this inflation part, because that's their strongest point. And overall, I think both of you have a good delivery, a good pace, and which I think is good for all of you. And here is on the budget part, because I think the pro team as a government side, it is your responsibility to make the budget. Otherwise, the judges will be very confused about whether the budget will be they're saying that the budget will be 7.3 trillion. Well, I don't know how does your budget come from, or how much money do we need for adopting the investment plan. So I think it'll be better for you to bring up the budget and how does the budget come from in your constructive speech. There is another point that I would like to point out is that actually the com side is attacking the examples that has been brought up by the pro side, and actually the pro side cannot give you some solid evidence because Taiwan hasn't implemented UBI yet, so they cannot provide you some evidence. And you have questioning that how can USA, India, and Finland compare to Taiwan? But actually, you brought up some examples about the Iran, so I'm not quite sure about why you're comparing these countries. So it's not saying that you cannot bring out some specific countries, but the more important thing is that you have to compare. You have to compare, like why can we compare Taiwan with Iran, or why can we compare Finland to Taiwan? This is the more important thing that if you want to take some examples from other countries. So that will be some of my suggestions for both sides. And congratulations, also you have did a really good job, and my points were really close, but due to the reasons that I mentioned above, I give more points to the counting. Congratulations. And maybe you can come to the front and shake hands with each other. And this is the end of the debate round.
I told them where. I don't know where to put it. Maybe we can go outside and someone will be outside.